So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with RokoM and Michelle. And this week, we're going to talk about the power of storytelling. So I'm going to kick us off with a quote. There were many
to choose from.
If you had any doubt of the power of storytelling, just go search quotes for storytelling, the power of it, and you'll realize the power in it. So the first one's Abraham Lincoln. And it's, in order to win a man to your cause, you must first reach his heart, the great high road to his reason. And what it was interesting when I read that one, because like I said, we had obviously, RokoM, you and I had gone through a number of them. It took me back to the connection of reaching the heart, and the heart moves the limbs. Mm-hmm. Because that's what it is. I mean, we deal with change management all the time. We're doing process improvement, leadership development, and it's about having people do different things, right? Behaviors. And it's through that storytelling that you connect, you go beyond the head and you connect to the heart, to where people actually go to action.
Yeah.
And that, for me, it was just like, you know how when you find that last piece of the puzzle, you're like, boom, there it is. I think that was it for me.
Yeah. For me, it was about, it evokes emotions. Whenever I think about storytelling, and people have really touched me in a way that makes me think about some subject, or makes me challenge the way I've thought about things, it's generally they were good storytellers. Mm-hmm. And when I really boil it down, it evoked emotions in me. It went to the heart, went to my soul, went to the core of who I am. And that, to me, is the power of storytelling. Truly, it is, you are connecting to that person's core in some way that evokes their thinking. And again, I'll say it over and over again, Margie transformed our lives. When we were being mentored by her, there were several parts in her teaching where she would tell stories, personal experiences that she had, and she did it in such a way that it wasn't so much that you were thinking about her, but it got you thinking about, how do I show up in those moments? What have been some things that I've done that might have, shifted someone's beliefs, or, got them thinking about some problem differently. And so I think that really is it for me. It's about getting people to think differently about that thing.
Well, and a few things that came to mind for me, right? And one of them is when you think about the quotes that we research, and quotes in that moment can connect, and you're going, okay, I get it. Yes, I'm on board. This means something to me, right? And it's like you and I going through quote. That's a form of storytelling in those quotes.
Yeah.
And when I think back to the stories that Margie taught us in the class about leaders and their journey, what you do is you take this potentially sterile content and teaching, right?
Or theoretical.
And sterile, theoretical, one-dimensional. but you bring it to life. And I think that's the same thing that happened. It's like when we were talking about the power of moments, and the stories that literally I've gotten better at telling that one story, the example in the book that, of a moment that was created. I wasn't in that moment, yet it brings me to tears. And so I think that's the power when you're talking about storytelling, is that, to your point, it connects with emotions. It causes us to go to action. And I think as a leader, when I think about a leadership quality, I think the criteria for that to be a good storyteller is it needs to be a story that you connect with.
That's right.
It can be someone else's story, but if you don't connect with it, don't tell that story, right? But it needs something that you can connect with.
Yeah, I agree. And you had a quote from Disney that I think it, covers what you're saying there. And I want people to hear it because it's a really good one.
Yeah, there were There were several. So Rocco and I rated them. Yeah, so this is from Walt Disney from the movie Saving Mr. Banks. And so it is storytellers restore order with imagination and instill hope again and again. And I just, it's so freaking true. I mean, you can go either way, but it's those stories that make the connections. And we've talked about that before. So that I can see myself in it, or I can connect to the human side of it, but something that will cause me to go to action or cause me to think differently, or cause me to think.
Yeah. Yeah. Think in general, just think about it. I mean, and that's to me, again, the power of it is that you are getting people to think about something, and that can only lead to some change or some conversation that will give you new perspective about that thing.
And then, you know what came to mind for me just now? We did that podcast with Frank Kahn on safety and how he's doing. And so even if you're not a great storyteller, you can tell the stories through other people, because he's shooting. So he's on safety. High reliability is unsexy. I mean, it's not a sexy topic, but he's bringing it to life and bringing the emotions to it through the success stories of the people that he's interviewing.
Yeah.
And it's through their words and their stories and their inflections and their emotions, all their experiences. So I think for me, it's like some people could say, I'm not a good storyteller. Then channel that through somebody else.
Yeah.
Bring storytelling in to how you lead.
Right. Yes. I love that.
Anyway, it's a shame I have no passion around
No
it.
passion whatsoever.
I love it. I want to do, I think it's one more. Yes.
Yeah. The purpose.
Sorry, this is the episode.
The purpose, right? Is this the purpose one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the episode of quotes.
Yes.
The purpose of a storyteller is not to tell you how to think, but to give you questions to think upon. So I enjoyed this time. That's how I want to end the topic, if you're okay with that. And what's one thing that you want people to walk away with, Roko?
Start integrating storytelling into your leadership style.
Here's the thing that comes to me, right? Because I came into this episode, we had researched some quotes and talked about that for a minute. And literally we might level set for 5 to 10 minutes. So a lot of planning. So, we talked about the difference between stories and storytelling and landed on storytelling. And so I had a certain idea, and it wasn't until we started with the quotes, thinking about stuff, that I'm like, oh my God, and it happened here, and here's what it happened, and da-da-da. So here's my one thing in all the words that I just spewed out. The one thing is reflect back and look at where you've gone to action, things that you've done, and maybe where stories exist that maybe you haven't labeled them that way. And what can you learn by incorporating storytelling into what you do? Because I think it's happening way more than what you might realize, or maybe you do realize it.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. Take a look back and see, how it's impacted you. If you're on the fence at all about storytelling. So anyway, thank you. I mean, clearly I'm more energized than when I started. So this has been Leadership Soundbites with RokoM Michele. Please like, share, subscribe, and we look forward to next time. Thank you.
Awesome.